What's up, man? We done missed everybody. It's football season day. What up, man?
Right? Yep. Okay. Thanks, Cody. Hey, we're live. We're back. It's been a couple of weeks. Took a couple of weeks off here on the TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs, here with Tony Kennedy. All right, Tony, let's just get right to week two. Week one was a big takeoff for Dallas. 33 points. Looked great. This week, that's the NFL, man. Talk to us about what happened to the Cowboys. They had the Saints come in, and let's give the Saints credit. One of the highest scoring teams in the league, 91 points in the first two games. That's the sixth highest total all time in a two-game stretch. Supposedly, I have Dave DeVal here with me, my man on stats. They've had 8 possessions this year and have scored on 7 of them.
Well, you want to talk about Dallas or you want to talk about New Orleans?
Let's talk about New Orleans. Let's give them.
The flowers. First of all, you got to give credit where credit's due to New Orleans. They probably played one bad team and one team that's half bad, half good. New Orleans is Kamara is freestyling on people. And I mean,
he's not done yet, Tony.
Listen, dog, when I tell you he was freestyling like a rapper freestyle, he was out there running, juking. He did everything that a running back could do in a game. 4 touchdowns in a game, dog. That's like,
that's the old days.
Listen, man.
That's Walter Payton.
I love that dude, Kamara, and even though I'm a Cowboy fan, it ain't going to change. But what I am telling you guys is I love Kamara. And I think that what happened was a mixture of a couple things. Dallas defense, from the running defense, has not been solved. What did I tell you last year? I told you until they solve the running part, they can win all they want in the regular season. Dallas is going to win games in the regular season because everybody can't run the ball like that. But when it gets to big games and big teams, all the good teams got good running games. San Francisco, Philly, Detroit, New Orleans. Those are the 4 best teams in the NFC. Now, the rest is just going to fight. You may get 5th, 6th, 7th. That's great, but you're not beating those teams who can consistently run the ball like that, Dallas. Mm-hmm. Because on the other end, you got when you're in obvious passing downs, now they can play all kinds of coverage that they do when they try to fool you when you know you're one-dimensional. You're one-dimensional in a big game. Like the Cleveland game is not a big game for them because Cleveland didn't have 2 of their tackles. And so they played the Dallas thing when they couldn't run. If you can't run against Dallas, Dallas is one of the 3 best teams in the league. If you can't run against them, then when you run against them, they're average 12 to 16 in the league.
Let's talk about Kamara real quick. Let's put him in perspective on the statistics. I've got them up right here. Rushing, he went 20 carries, 20 totes for $115, 3 touchdowns. On the receiving end, 2 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown, 57-yard catch for a TD. So, I mean, hey, Tony, it's kind of like your stats in high school, buddy.
Hey, listen, dog. He was freestyling. I mean, it got to a point where you're so mad that you just got to laugh.
You was tight. You was tight, Tony. You was tight watching that, wasn't you?
Listen, Hendricks and Overshown, those linebackers that the Dallas got, if they are balling, Dallas win. If they're not making tackles, Dallas lose. Dallas is simple. Dallas is not that hard. It's simple with them. First, guys, I want to say for anybody who's watching the show, I want to give a shout out to Frankie Beverly and Tito Jackson.
And James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. We need to give a shout out to those 3. Those 3, musically, two of them, and then everything for James Earl Jones, from changing the stereotypes to Coming to America, to everything from his voiceovers
Lion
to
King.
everything.
Yep. Darth Vader.
Yeah, it is. We lost three good ones. For our people here in DC, Frankie Beverly's adopted home. For the people in Philly, tonight's game in the Eagles and the Falcons, they should be a moment of silence for one of their greatest artists ever in Philly. Mm-hmm. Let's see if the NFL believes that in racism at the end of the back. Let's see how they honor my man Frankie Beverly tonight when the game starts. Let's see if they about it and understand. Because when I went somewhere the other day, Frankie Beverly was playing, and these folks didn't even know who he was. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at them like, you guys really don't know who Frankie Beverly is?
If you're talking about folks that grew up in the 70s like we did, or you were grown up in the 70s, there wasn't a family barbecue or a family reunion where you didn't hear Marvin Gaye, you didn't hear Frankie Beverly. It wasn't a barbecue without it. You know what I mean? That's just, part of our culture. Now, the thing about DC, three of our most beloved people that are here in the city, they aren't even from the city. George Michael on sports, Jim Vance on the news, on NBC, and Frankie Beverly. They had that type of carte blanche here in the DC area where we just felt like they were supposed to be here. And it just wasn't DC without it. And then a quick side note, Frankie Beverly and Maze were essentially discovered by Marvin Gaye. They used to open for Marvin. So, I mean, you take that DC angle and you just bring it all the way home. Tony, I want to run this by you real quick. Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for real, or did they just play one bad team in the Washington Commanders?
No,
or because they just beat a good team. They beat your Lions.
They are for real because of the way they're playing ball. You gotta give props to Todd Bowles. They are for real. They have a good team. They have a good coach. Remember, Todd Bowles have been there before. So, guys, you have to. It's no fluff with them. I'm sorry, I did not label them as one of the 4 or 5 best teams, but they're number 5. If you want to put them that way, I will say Philly, San Fran, Detroit, Tampa, New Orleans. So when we start talking about these teams, now there's only 2 spots left. Who are the 2 best teams out there? Is it Green Bay, Chicago, Dallas? Those teams like that. Where are you going to fall? Because the NFC's gotten a lot better than what I thought. Minnesota, I'm sorry. Let me apologize to Sam Donald. You're doing a hell of a job in Minnesota. That's a big time win. But we're seeing that what I told y'all about Brock Purdy, if everything ain't perfect, he's not going to beat you. It has to be perfect. It's not saying that he's not great or good. I'm just giving you reality of football. Some people don't have to have everything great to beat you. They can beat you because of who they are. Purdy's not that guy. It's the reason why he went 7th round. It needs to be, everything got to be perfect around him. Another thing, Purdy's going against history. It's been 50 years since an NFC team has lost the Super Bowl and gotten back the next year. That team was the Minnesota Vikings. And those were some great teams. Minnesota Vikings went back-to-back, and they lost back-to-back Super Bowls. But they went. And it's been 50 years since an NFC team has lost the Super Bowl and gone back. So, guys, don't all this other stuff, man, just look at it. You got to understand the game. The game is don't become one-dimensional in a pass-happy league. When you become one-dimensional, these defenses are too complicated. They will take away all that you think that you do great. They will take it away.
Let's talk about the game within the game for the 49ers and the Vikings. And congratulations to the Vikings. That's a huge win, by the way. And who would have thought? The Vikings are 2-0 right now, right? And there's a lot of teams that you would have thought are better than that are not only 1-1. The Ravens are 0-2. We'll get to them in a second. But right off the bus, the Vikings go up 10-0. 97-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson. 97 yards. When you go up 10 points on a team, and I would say 13 to 17 points, if you go up 10 to 17 points on an NFL team and it's early, you can get back into the football game, right? But that number is a pretty scary number once you get to that total, because that does kind of change what that offense has to do, and then also how you attack defensively. The 49ers defense couldn't take chances. They had to kind of keep that game as close as they possibly could because the offense wasn't doing as much. But when you look at the way that the scoring went, once Minnesota went up 20-7, you can't say that the game is over. But when your offense isn't doing what you said, like you were talking about with Brock Purdy, the offense wasn't doing much. This is kind of what you get. You know, I mean, it's
So Dave, when you look at it, look at Brock Purdy and look at the guy in Buffalo. Okay, when they say Josh Allen, it's because Josh Allen can put that team on his back, and because they really aren't that good. They're not great, but Josh Allen, because here's a stat that got me. Josh Allen has rushed for more touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey. But then they talk about running quarterbacks. Josh Allen, because he's white, don't get the same thing as the black quarterback. We need to stop that narrative.
Yeah.
We need to cut that narrative, because if it was a black quarterback that rushed for more than McCaffrey, they could say all he can do is run. But when it's Josh Allen doing it, then it's no. See, that narrative need to see. Here's what I don't like is that the media, which mainly white, set these narratives, and they set these narratives, and then people just feed up off these narratives. I'm gonna show you a narrative. Your narrative was you guys didn't like Angel Reese because she was black and she was outspoken, and you put her up against Caitlin Clark and all that. They're two different ball players. You told Angel Reese, listen to the narrative, you only lead in the league in rebounds because you follow your shot and you get your rebound.
You're supposed to do that.
The first rule in basketball is follow your shot. That's the first rule. But see, here's how your narrative get blown up. She leads the league in offensive rebounds, but she also leads the league in defensive rebounds. So is she missing the shot way down there and then catching it and getting it back? See, these narratives get blown up because the narratives are set by some of these bias, we want to call it prejudice, white media. See, here's what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is set narratives based upon your color. We're going to set narratives based upon what we see on the game. Because, see, my favorite quarterback of all time is Roger Staubach. I didn't think Roger Staubach was black. That's my favorite quarterback of all time. Why? Because Roger Staubach could throw it. He could run it. He was called Roger the Dodger. He got out of trouble way before. And the guy that was his nemesis was Fran Tarkenton. He didn't stay in the pocket either. Okay, so all this stuff of not staying in the pocket. NFL, this is our first show since the season started. 15 out of 32 teams have black quarterbacks. I look back in 1988, I think it was only like 3. When we graduated high school, college, it was only like 3.
Who were they? In 1988, Warren Moon,
It was Doug Williams started, Warren Moon, and I think it was Randall Cunningham.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it was like three. It was 3 or 5 or somewhere like that. But it wasn't. That wasn't a thing. But look at it. We 30-something years, 35 years later, we 5 times more than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you think about it. We went from 3 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the progression of the game. But stop with the narrative. I don't sit here and look at the quarterbacks and think, oh, he's a white quarterback, he's narrative. And the narrative is they can't throw. Stop saying Lamar Jackson is a running back playing quarterback, because no running back has ever led the league in pass touchdowns. If he was just a running back playing quarterback, he wouldn't be able to lead the league in passing. Well, what Brady was playing then, when he led the league in touchdowns, Brady was playing, Phillip Rivers was playing, Drew Brees was playing, Aaron Rodgers was playing, Ben Roethlisberger was playing. So you're talking about 5 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, that's his. You're talking about his first MVP, the first one. Yeah,
the first one. All the people were playing.
And then the second MVP he won, obviously, Pat Mahomes was in the league. So
no, and wait, Pat Mahomes was in the league playing then too.
Justin Herbert.
Everybody was playing. Who future Hall of Famer, but he led the league in passing touchdowns. But you guys want to say, oh, this man, stop. Does he need to work on stuff? You damn right.
Oh, sure.
Does he need to get better? You damn right he does. But guess what? They all need to get better. Where I lose it with people is the narrative. And I'm sick and tired of that narrative, because that narrative is unfounded when you got people who are learning a position.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me in years when you see them. Look at Caleb. Look at CJ Stroud. Look at these guys, the evolution of the position.
Mm-hmm.
The evolution of the position. It just so happened that these guys are black.
Did you watch the game last night? Did you watch Bears? Did you watch Bears Texans?
I watched the game last night, and what that showed me is the experience of CJ Stroud versus the inexperience of Caleb. If you don't think Caleb's ceiling is high, something is wrong with you. They're going to be just fine, because now they have the piece that they can now work around and get other things in. See, everything was always moving with the Bears. You know, everything's moving here. Their franchise that went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as a quarterback. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. The Bears are going to be just fine. And all these other teams are going to be just fine, too. Stop with the narratives on the black quarterbacks.
I was a little worried about the Bears. I'll just say this. After watching them the past 3 years with Justin Fields, as far as the line play, the way the offensive line has played, I think GM Ryan Poles has to be called on the carpet for the development of that offensive line. That offensive line last night gave up 7 sacks. Okay. And, basically, Houston decided that they were going to put the blitz on. When they didn't blitz, Caleb was doing fine. I think at one point he was 11 for 12 passing with no blitz. But then you saw a couple of situations, Tony, that was just inexcusable, where the Bears couldn't stop a 5-man rush. And they kept the tight end in, and they still got to the quarterback. I looked at some film. I do look at film. I saw their center. Their center has had better days, Tony. They were going right through the A-gap. As a quarterback, if you can't climb that pocket and step into throws, what are you supposed to do?
Well, Dave, what we need to do, including all of us, and it's just not me talking about you, it's all of us, what we need to do is pump our brakes. What we need to do is pump our brakes on a lot of these situations, because, guys, TV, let me explain something to you about that television. That television does no justice on how hard it is to play that position. That game is so fast. Do you not know that these guys are reading on the run when they're at full speed and they have to read exactly what that quarterback is reading. If they don't, it can be disaster. And they're reading this at full speed. So imagine running full speed and saying, I got to do this or do that. And based upon this and that quarterback got to see in the pocket climbing, got to see that I saw and that we're both on the same thing because that's what we're. It is the hardest position in sports is the quarterback. It is extremely hard because of all the factors. You have to know what way the line is going. Then you have to read the coverages. And then you have to read, you got ESP to read what your receiver should be doing based upon what hours that we talked about doing if they show that. Maybe he might have not listened, and so he cut the route at 10 when he should have been cutting the route at 8. And that difference of 2 yards is the difference of me getting hit with the ball in my goddamn hand.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and shout out to our boy Ed Tomlin. The Steelers have started out 2-0. Hasn't been pretty. They're doing it with a backup quarterback. They're doing it with Justin Fields, who was traded in the offseason over to Pittsburgh from Chicago. Then the schedule came out. We looked at this with what Russell Wilson was going to have to look at. He was going to be the starter. He's injured. He's got a calf injury. But then we saw the schedule come out. And it looked like the Steelers got a raw deal on their schedule. So let me talk to you, everybody, from when you start November the 17th. This is, I think, the last 8 games for the Steelers. Ravens, at the Browns, at the Bengals. Browns come to Pittsburgh, at the Eagles, at the Ravens. Chiefs come to Pittsburgh, and then they end the season at the Bengals. That's their last day. Okay. So the way I looked at it, and I think I said it in when the schedule came out, the Steelers are likely going to have to be 9-2 before that stretch to have a chance. There's no way to go through that stretch. If they go through that stretch 500, 4-4 against that, that's a great job. That's a great freaking job.
Well, Dave, what we're seeing is modern day Tom Landry. What Mike Tomlin has done to stay competitive, even when he lost everything, what we're seeing is modern day Tom Landry. Remember, Dallas went 20 seasons without having a losing record. Y'all thought it was great then, but all of a sudden it's not great for Tomlin to do the same thing Tom Landry did.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at this schedule. If
they go above 500, he should be coach of the year.
If they go 9-8 against this, well, it gets a little steeper because they got the Chargers coming to town next week.
They're gonna beat Chargers. They're gonna beat
Chargers 2-0. That'll be a matchup of two.
Here's one thing I know about Pittsburgh, and one thing that I will always say about Pittsburgh: great organization, great management, and always a good defense. Mm-hmm. There's depth and taxes, and the Steelers having a good defense. And those 3 things will always carry you. Now, they may not win Super Bowl. They done won 6. Your first 40 years, you had 0 playoff wins.
Wow.
These next 50 years, you won 6 Super Bowls. So I don't hear about these fans and all this other crap. Shut up. Go to the games. Support your team. Because you could have been the Cleveland Browns from back then when they weren't winning. Or the Cincinnati Bengals. You can put the Bengals and the Browns together along with the Ravens, and they don't equal to the Steelers in one division. They've been in the same division. Put the Oilers in there, put the Titans in there. Steelers have outdone all those organizations, but their fans are crying. Man, get out of here with that.
Well, speaking of spoiled fans, let's talk about the Washington Commanders as they get their first win in the home opener. They take out the New York Football Giants. Shout out to Jaden Daniels getting his first NFL win as a starter. Good job. 7 field goals. Look, man, just win, baby.
Did they win?
I think they won, Tony.
Okay. Dallas beat Green Bay one time, and they kicker Chris Bonio kicked 7 field goals. Nobody said nothing.
It goes down in the book as a dub.
Nobody said nothing about Troy Aikman then. Troy Aikman was the quarterback, and Dallas beat them with 7 field goals one game. Chris Bonio.
We'll take it.
So I don't want to hear that. Now, what they've done is they've kept track of the wins that we said that they would win. We said they would lose the Tampa game. I said they would beat the Giants. They're not beating the Cardinals.
Not the way they score, but
they're not beating the Bengals.
No, the Washington's defense did take a step forward. Now, granted, they were playing against the Giants, but they held on.
No. We're looking at this wrong. Their defense ain't take no step forward. The competition took step backwards. Okay, so you say that, and then and your boys put 41 up on the Rams the other day. Who did Washington play this week?
Huh?
Who they got play? Pull up their schedule.
Who, Washington?
Yeah, pull up their schedule. Because I can tell you what their record going.
Yeah, y'all got Cincinnati coming up next, dog.
Where's it at?
It's out in Cincinnati.
Oh no, Cincinnati ain't going on 3.
That's a Monday night game, dog.
They're not going on 3. So that's a loss. Who's after that?
Let me check. Hold on. Let me
get pull me their schedule, and I can give you each game, and we can come back to this thing.
We're ready? I got it. Here we go. Let's see. Monday night, Bengals.
Loss.
Cardinals.
Loss.
Browns.
Where's it at? Here?
That's here.
When?
At the Ravens. That's
loss.
Panthers coming in. Barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken, baby. This is going to be an interesting game here. Bears come to D.C. Welcome home. Welcome home, Caleb Williams. Okay, I'm going to tell you what.
What is this right here?
Bet the mortgage. Bet the mortgage.
What is this right here?
Caleb Williams is going to put up 3 TDs.
That's a toss-up.
That's a toss-up?
That's a toss-up. Right there.
What's Caleb Williams? Wait a minute. Hold on, Tony. What's Caleb Williams' record in Prince George's County? Has he ever lost?
No.
Because we all us local DC people know. The legendary game of WCAC championship is God Purple. Caleb Williams don't lose in PG County, dog. I don't think you're about to start now.
And who's after Chicago?
After Chicago, more barbecue chicken. Here come the Giants. At the Giants.
See, the way they played against the Giants, they can lose that one. Go ahead.
Steelers. That's a loss.
Loss.
Eagles.
Loss.
Cowboys.
Loss.
Titans. Win.
Win.
Oh, well, this is definitely a loss. Saints. Loss.
Where that game at?
In New Orleans. Yeah. Falcons come to D.C.
Win.
Hold on. Kirk
I don't give a shit. I
No.
don't care. The Redskins going to beat them. Go ahead.
Finish with the Cowboys in Dallas. That's a loss.
Okay. So how many wins we gave them? We gave them 5 wins.
If Dallas has already clinched the playoffs.
And it won't happen.
But it might not happen. But if it does, Dak will not play. Micah Parsons will not play.
And the way Dallas is playing right now, they better hope they're going to need that game to win to get in. So they won't win. The only reason why the Redskins can't beat Dallas is because their defense is not good enough.
All right.
Okay. And if they run the ball against Dallas, they'll have a chance of beating them. But they just don't. The Skins, what people have to understand is let that guy build that defense. Meanwhile, build your O-line, build all that stuff that you have. And this time next year, the Skins could be the Detroit from 2 years ago.
From 2 years ago. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. One thing I've seen with Jaden Daniels is, as a rookie quarterback, he's not making rookie quarterback mistakes. If he's going to take a sack, he just takes it. If he's not going to force the ball into where he needs,
but he's getting hit too much, Dave. That
You
one
think he's
time
getting
he
hit too
running,
much?
he
Yeah.
got to listen. Just when I said last week when I was talking to y'all on the phone on the thing, what did I say? Give the ball to Robinson and just roll from there. How many
He
yards
looked
did
good
Robinson
to me.
have?
That look old school.
How many yards did Robinson have? 135, right?
Let's take a look. I got the box score right here.
I said give the ball to Robinson. Just give it to
133. That's right.
Okay. So if he gets over 100 yards a game, those 4 or 5 wins we gave you now becomes 8 to 9 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that team is not winning 10
Mm-hmm.
games. If they get lucky, they'll win 8. Okay. That'd be a great. If Washington win 8 games this year, watch out for them.
Mm-hmm.
That if they win 8 games this
Mhm.
year, watch out for them because they're young. They got who I believe is one of the best D coordinators ever,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to help that side of the ball. That offensive line is going to take a while to gel. When I told Cody, remember we going back and forth offensive lines? If I'm wrong, look at Dallas. Look at Baltimore. All those that got those new people on the line, it takes time to gel.
Yeah,
I
it does.
know this motherfucking game. I understand what they are doing up there. I understand that the calls and everything that comes with what we call reps.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to get reps now is live during the game. Preseason doesn't count no more. The live reps is how they're going to get better. That's the reason why I think the Ravens will be better later on in the season. Washington will compete more later on as the line gets better. Okay? Everybody who has young offensive linemen right now, all they trying to do is weather the storm. Because when it comes to it, Cowboys, Ravens, Skins, your offensive lines are young. But as we get past the Halloween point, these kids aren't rookies no more. So now they're getting into the speed of the game. And now, remember, and then that time of year, fresh legs those young legs start to mean something. And especially on offensive line. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't get to the quarterback, if we can run the ball, we're going to win. And those teams could be dangerous if they understand that they got to get through these first 7-8 games.
Did you watch the New York game? Did you watch the Giants and the?
I watched 6 games at one time. I watched it.
Malik Neighbors for the Giants, first round draft pick.
It's
He
unfair.
went 10 for 127 and a touchdown, but in the end, he had that drop on 4th down.
Stupid coaching by their fault. It was stupid by Dabo. Dabo gave them the game. I don't care. I'm glad Washington won.
You wanted
Dabo
to kick
gave
a
them
field
the
goal.
game.
Well, wait a minute. Graham Gano was hurt. You wanted them to try a field goal there.
Well, I mean, I guess you had to go for it if the guy who missed the field goal earlier or whatever.
Yeah, he's the backup.
He played in the crab bowl.
Yeah.
That Polish Hammer, he was a crab bowl kid.
Yeah. So Tony, Graham Gano gets hurt, pulls a quad. I think it was a quad, and the Giants basically went for twos, basically on their touchdowns the rest of the way. They missed an extra point and then went for twos after that. Only put up 18 points. They are the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns, give up no touchdowns, and lose a football game.
That shows you
it's like thousands of games have been
that
played.
shows you that Washington is happy and lucky at the same time. But you're not going to keep getting at Washington.
No, you're not.
Because you're young. All they fans got to do is shut the hell up and just allow it to play out. You got a good coach. You got a good system. You got a real decent young quarterback. You got, to me, one of the best tailbacks in the league. And
Feed
you
him the
will
rock.
see,
Feed him the rock.
yeah, just feed him the rock and shut the hell up. You're in a division where Dallas and Philly have two powerhouse teams. Learn from what you got, because, folks, the Redskins, Commanders, ain't going to keep losing to Dallas and Philly every year like this, because now they got them a quarterback. They got them a good number one wide receiver. They got them some good tight ends. They're going to be just fine. And everybody, people, oh, you hate. No, I don't cheer for the Redskins, but I'm being realistic. Well, you want me to be unrealistic and be, oh, yeah, give them the Super Bowl? No, because I know that the Redskins nor the Cowboys, they have never won the Super Bowl without having a great offensive line. They always have a great offensive line.
You just can't do it. It's never going to happen that you go to a Super Bowl without a pretty darn good offensive line, just because just general usage. I mean, you're going to have to pass protect. You're going to have to run block. If you can't do both of those in a competent way,
no,
you're never going to score. Now, before we get out of here, I want to make sure we talk about what we didn't talk about last week. We weren't able to. I don't want to be disrespectful or rude. Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins has sustained another concussion, which he did last week. The Bills basically handled the Dolphins 31-10. Forget the won and loss record. Tua Tagovailoa is now back in the concussion protocol. After numerous concussions the 2 years previous, he now has the large big money extension. Okay. Alex Smith, formerly of the Washington Redskins, formerly of the Chiefs, had to leave the league, had to retire basically because of injuries to his leg, and how dangerous it was going to be for him to get back on an NFL field. My personal opinion as a journalist, I think Tua Tagovailoa has got to hang it up. He cannot step on the NFL field again. What the NFL cannot afford, Tony, is to have someone have a traumatic brain injury on the field. We don't want to see that. What do you think about this? Should he play again once he clears concussion protocol?
You know what? You know why I think he should go? Because the person who hurt him was the same person who we thought was dead on that field. And that was God telling you that this person is standing over top of you for a reason. And he could have been a whole lot worse than that, but he held up. To me, he held up because of because of what happened to him. That could have been somebody else to hit him. Y'all don't understand. That was Hamlin who hit him. And that was Hamlin who, think about it. Hamlin's life is there, and I didn't think Hamlin should play no more. But Hamlin is the guy who comes and hits you, and you the one that get hurt. I'd have been like, nope, that's the good Lord telling me right there, it's time for me to go. Right there. Gotta go.
I don't know if it's a good idea for him to get on the field again.
No.
I mean, it's, the images of 2 years ago when he took a hit and his arms were, straight up in the air.
Cincinnati game, I was done.
Guys, I don't want to see that, and I'm old enough to remember Dennis Byrd being paralyzed on the field. It's not something I want to watch. I'm all for player safety. I don't want to see too many rules change what the essence of the game is. There was a play last night in the Bears game where there was a fumble down near the goal line. The Bears forced a fumble and were able to get on it. And it was just that scrum of people, trying to get to that football. That's football, right? But what we don't want to see is Tua Tagovailoa have another brain injury on the field. It was hard to watch, Tony. It was very difficult to watch.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Miami season, that division is the Jets and the Bills.
It's the Jets and the Bills now, and now Miami has to look at the fact that what do you do at this point? You've spent a lot of money on a franchise quarterback and who cannot play, who is not going to be cleared to play We don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks. We don't know if it's going to be 6 weeks. We don't know if it's going to be 10 weeks, right? And neither does Miami. So what does Miami do? And I mean, I've heard all kinds of,
I trade for Kenny
I've heard
Pickett.
all kinds of scenarios.
I would trade for Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice young quarterback. Nice young quarterback who can get the ball out to the receivers. I would trade for a person like Kenny Pickett. His second year, I think he can still play. I would just trade for him. That's who I would trade to get if it were me.
I got an name for you. How about look at a guy like Justin Fields, who looked like he was throwaway. He looked like a throwaway, right? The Miami Dolphins would love to get their hands on a guy like a Justin Fields. Right?
They're not doing that.
But they're not going to be able to because Pittsburgh has to have him now. They can't let him go.
First of all, it's in the AFC, and they're not trading within the AFC.
They're not going to trade it within the AFC, but they're desperate.
But no. If I'm them, I go after somebody reasonable like Kenny Pickett. We know he can play.
Kenny Pickett.
Look at Malik Willis. Malik Willis went and won a game, and he won a game.
Hey, Malik Willis won a game. We're gonna say, hey, you know what? And Green Bay and Miami both have something similar. Granted, it's not the same extent, but you just paid a quarterback a bunch of money, and now he's injured. Right.
Yeah.
And you have to come up with a way to win games until you can get him back. So hopefully Jordan Love gets himself together. Don't know if he's going to be out much longer. I think it was 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Right. So now we're in week 2. If you are Green Bay and you can say to yourself, hey, Malik Willis went 2-1, for us in relief. And honestly, for Malik Willis, this could save his career. I mean, it gives him a fresh start.
It gives him a good backup career. Like the rest of these backup bums I see in the league. I want to say that Dallas has to play against the Ravens. That is a guaranteed loss. The Ravens will not go 0-3.
Who do the Ravens have next?
Dallas.
Yeah, they're going to beat Dallas. They're going to beat Dallas. And if you're Dallas, you have to say to yourself, look, as long as we keep them from putting up 40 points, maybe we have a shot. But against that defense, I really don't know. Dallas doesn't run the ball enough and doesn't run the ball well enough.
It's the records for me. It's the law average. They're too good of a team to go 0-3.
Mm-hmm. And is there any panic from the Ravens right now? Are they panicking? Or I know
if they lose to Dallas, there's going to be panic.
Let's forget the fans. What do you think as an organization? Do you panic?
If they lose to Dallas, it's going to be panic.
What can you do? You're going to change quarterbacks?
It's a must. No, it's a must-win game in Game 3.
So if you're Dallas and now you go 1-2,
you fine because you played to me 2 of the best teams in 3, because Cleveland's not going to be terrible. Cleveland's going to get their thing. They get their titles back. You play. So if you Dallas, you play Cleveland that made the playoffs, right? You played the Ravens who made the playoffs.
Correct.
And you played the Saints who were tied to make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, they probably could have made the playoffs, yeah.
So you basically played 3 playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go 1-2, so what? But Baltimore cannot go 0-3.
I can dig it. Tony, can we get we're going to have a guest on Thursday. So I just want to let you know we're going to have my boy Matt come in and pick the game.
Good.
So
because I need to talk to Matt anyway. Because remember, Matt was like that Ravens Texans game last year, man.
Oh, Lord. Here we go. Well,
that dude, I told that dude, leave them peoples alone. Hey, what the man say? Man, boy, what did I tell you? I told you not to come around here messing with these people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Tony,
you want some old man? No.
Tony, we appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight. The TD Report, another edition in the books. We're going to be back on Thursday, everybody. Get your picks ready because I've got the prognosticator coming on, my boy Matt.
By the way, Philly doesn't have A.J. Johnson tonight, or A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And that's what's the only thing going to make the game close. If they had A.J. Brown, they'd be killing these dudes. Because I feel
Devontae is playing. Look, Devontae is playing tonight.
Yeah.
Saquon, the Eagles should be all right.
Kirk Cousins coming on the
Falcons need to
field
put
for
up
the
points.
first. All right, bro.
Put up 28, 35 points. That's different.
I like these 45-minute shows.
Appreciate it. See you next week,
See you
Tony. We'll
guys.
see you on Thursday. We'll be back
See you
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thanks, everybody.